transcends the spectacle, the rivalries, and the championships.
I'm not greedy for money. I'm greedy for respect.
Respect must be earned before it is given.
To beat a man, you gotta beat the man.
It can heal old wounds, forge unlikely friendships, and can bond together even the fiercest of rivals. Every scar will build my Tonight, in the culmination of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, 4 teams will compete in respect to their friend and teacher.
I'm telling you, get a dream, hold on to it, and shoot from the sky.
Tonight, in a rematch of their unforgettable battle in Brooklyn, Bayley and Sasha Banks will make history once again.
For the first time, you will be the main event in a 30-minute Ironman match.
And tonight, no matter the outcome, the superstars of NXT will battle for the ultimate prize. Respect.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the NXT Rundown. It's a takeover edition. It's takeover. And for the first time in months and months and months, I have Kenny McIntosh and Robert Duffin straight off an Inside the Ropes live tour with the icon Sting. They've come down from the skybox where I assume Kenny let Robert stay when he wasn't on the floor. And they've deigned to grace me with their presences all the way from Glasgow, Scotland. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Sondra,
it's funny, there's all these, we've been inundated with autographs and photo requests, and, we thought we need to give Sondra an hour here because, before we know it, there's going to be jets, limousines.
Well, if you can get one of those jets to bring me to Glasgow, I'm just saying.
That's the plan. But yeah, the tour was great, so we're happy.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about it at some point. But yeah, today we're talking about TakeOver. And I was almost just going to say there's news before the show. We don't have time for that. I'll do that later. Well, Devin Taylor's gone.
It's funny? I saw that and I was like, oh, Sondra might be the only person that'll care. But
I got
still,
multiple messages from people.
But do you think that they were, I assume a lot of people who listen to this show, probably read that news and went, oh God, is Sondra going to be okay?
I know. It's real true.
It took me a sec to remember who she was.
Is that Sondra, known to Reddit users as NXT over anything else, hater of The Undertaker? And of course, we are the 2 Irish hosts.
Yes, the hosts are Irish.
I love that at the end, because it's like this really nice thing, and he really sort of nails the show, and then at the end, the hosts are Irish. Oh, you were doing so well.
Oh, that made me laugh so hard. That made my day. I was like, oh, people know I exist. That's so exciting. Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen it, which, I wouldn't have seen it if Robert hadn't sent it to me, there was a thing on Reddit, which I don't actually know how to use. And
No, I mean, someone sent it to me.
I'll need to put, Reddit's it's almost like a forum board where you put up a post and you just and then people comment on your post.
It looks so hard to follow though. I don't really...
It is, but somebody had put up a sort of a rundown, if you will, of...
If you wait.
I can't do Dusty Road, so I'm not going to try that. But
neither can I, but I still went for it.
Somebody did a rundown of one of the Sting Q&As, and it was a response to that. So, but I'll post it on the Facebook page because I know that I meant to do it the other day and I just never got around to it.
Cool. That is fair. So we'll get right into the show. We started out with a prelude, and I cut the audio. I put that right before this, or I will magically in post put the audio of the intro before we start talking, because it's really cool, and it involves Bayley winning the title and the fans chanting "you deserve it," and I love it. And the voice saying "respect" sounded really sinister and creepy, but it was still cool because we're respecting Bayley and we're respecting Sasha and we're respecting Dusty Rhodes in the tag team tournament that sort of killed my love for NXT for a while, but it's over now, so thank goodness. Well, it's
fucking tournaments, mate. Honestly,
and I love tournaments too, but what?
It's
I believe that if anyone listening is really tired of oh god damn it, I can't believe the tournament's over, you could switch over to TNA. They're having one now.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're having a tournament to crown the new World Heavyweight Champion after Matt Hardy vacated it on YouTube.
Matt Hardy was champion and vacated on YouTube?
Do you not know about this?
No.
Matt Hardy is my favourite part. Matt Hardy won the world title at Bound for Glory, and
In a match he wasn't supposed to be in.
and then the next day he vacated it on YouTube before they had even aired Bound for Glory in the UK. So if any UK fans were like desperate to not be spoiled, oh well, it's on YouTube that he won it and he's vacated it. And now they're having a tournament where it seems they really want to crown Drew Galloway as the champion. But he was in the match at Bound for Glory, so I'm not entirely sure why he didn't just win it then. But yeah, that's
wow.
It's called perspective, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I just say, while we're talking about this, one of my favourite things that's ever happened is on Twitter. There's a WWE Network tweet that's just come out, and it was, on this day, Stephanie McMahon spoke about her memory loss on Raw in 1999 after the British Bulldog hit her with a bin.
Is that why she still goes from face to heel in every show?
Oh, wouldn't that be a great explanation?
That'd be fantastic. It all makes perfect sense now.
Did the British Bulldog also hit the Big Show and Kane with a bin?
And the Bellas?
Yeah, is that why
and Vince and Hunter.
Yeah, he was taking out the trash. But
yep.
Anyway,
I'm willing to go with it.
I apologize.
It's okay. But the first match of the night was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus the Mechanics. And this match was good. It was really good. It annoyed the crap out of me, but it was really good. Finn didn't bring the demon today to Takeover. It's first Takeover. He hasn't painted himself up all scary-like. Like, he just came out in his leather jacket looking all badass. And, yeah, he looks really good in that leather jacket. Not gonna lie. I like it. I like that it's a thing he can do without 5 hours of body paint. And, yeah, I mean, I think it looks good. I think it's cool. He maybe thinks he's Fonzie, but I'm okay with that. And that's great. And Samoa Joe was also there, and that was cool, too.
Finzy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna call him that all the time now. Hey, it's the Finns.
It's the Finns. It is the Finns. Oh, that makes me so happy. But
I want to defend Finn Balor here a second, because I think we've all been quite critical of him, and like, you know, okay, you're the demon, like why are you the demon sometimes? Like, what does it mean? And blah blah blah. But I thought that this was, for me, I think his best night that he's had in WWE so far, because
Definitely.
he actually had an injury to his knee that he kept going throughout the night as a sort of progressional storyline.
He was great, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was the first time I was like really invested in like, oh fuck, Finn Balor's injured. Like, is he gonna make it through? Like, is he gonna be? And I mean, I'm not gonna say he was like Bret Hart level of selling it, but he was close. Like, he really did a great job in selling it.
And of the entrance, one of the things that always bothered me is how would he sustain himself once he leaves the NXT environment and he's not going to be doing the demon on Raw every week. Obviously, you presume he would only do that at pay-per-views like he has with TakeOver specials. And I was like, how's he going to do it? Because, you know, his entrance, like, without it, it's a little bit dull, and he's a little bit dull. Like, what's his thing going to be? And then he came out, and I was like, oh, sexy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what his thing's going to be. Like, and I was kind of just, like, I was kind of watching him coming down, and I'm kind of going, oh, shit. Like, it never really occurred to me that Finn Balor is, like, a really good-looking motherfucker. And
well, he's a legit model.
Yeah, and the ladies in the WWE universe are probably going to really dig this guy. So,
and Robert, by the sounds of it. So
yeah.
Man crushes are more.
There you go. It's like, what was Robert's analysis of TakeOver? Finn Balor, sexy.
Yeah, like, I just kind of thought, I sort of forgot, like, oh wow, yeah, like, he's going to be fine. Like, he rocks the leather, the fins.
Do you know what annoys me about him a little bit is that he's in such good shape. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's in ridiculously good shape.
You know, Kenny, if we weren't running a podcast in Empire, we could be in that shape.
We could do that.
Yeah, I'm not even going to
Sondra.
pretend, even though I get to, like, do wrestling later today. But, yeah.
To be honest, though, I get the feeling, Sondra, that if you were to wear wrestling gear, you would pretty much just look like Bayley.
I look not quite like Bayley, because first of all, I'm really, really pale. And Bayley's in way better shape than I am. But, yeah. It's true. I'll have to show you the pictures of me with Williams title belts. It's really fun. But where was I? I don't know where it was.
We've gotten all flustered by
I know.
sexy Finn.
We're all flustered by sexy Finn Balor. I will say
Fins.
I agree that the Finns.
Sorry to interrupt, but I need there's one more thing about the entrance, right?
Okay.
WWE are so snidey, right, about people using or parodying any of their stuff, like when it comes to t-shirts, right? You know what they're like with the pro wrestling t-shirt.
Oh,
If
yeah.
anything even approaches being similar to what they do, they're all over it. They unleash the lawyers. Balor Club.
Balor Club?
They just rip off the Bullet Club thing. The t-shirts and the logo look almost exactly the same, and they're like, "Yeah, what of it?"
They're like, fuck it.
Like, okay, well, fair enough.
But is it that thing though of like the Bullet Club is essentially a takeoff of the NWO? DX pretty much make it that they are better than the NWO, and they all do the same hand signal. So Triple H just by default like loves him.
Yeah.
Well, and
Like,
Finn
it's
Balor
just-
started the Bullet Club.
But Balor Club's a nice sort of alternate to the Demon, so he's kind of rocking two different gimmicks almost, and I really like it. And I
really
like
like
him,
it too.
and I think him and Joe are fun together. So
Joe needs to turn though.
Yeah, he does.
Hurry up.
See, I think that I assume once we get through talking about the matches, we're going to discuss the issue of makeshift tag teams headlining this Dusty tournament. And
Oh, yeah,
when
we
when we
will.
do, I'll weigh them with some thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, let's...
Teaser.
Yeah, teaser. Yeah, I was kind of wondering how I was gonna structure that. So yeah, let's do the matches first and then talk about that. But I will say this is the most I've liked Finn Balor ever. Other than seeing his Joker entrance from not NXT, right? Finn Balor actually was humanized in these matches, both of them. And I mean, I can just kind of talk about this bit together, but Finn Balor not bringing the Demon tonight, I think, was like the best decision he could have made. Because lots of time and body paint, and it was a tag thing, and it, he wasn't the focus of it, even though they ended up winning, really. I mean, it was Sasha and Bayley's night, so they didn't want to take away from that, and I love that. But also, it made him human, and it was the most he ever felt integrated into NXT, and he really looked like he cared about winning this tournament for the trophy, and for Dusty, and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought it was cool, and it's the most I've ever really connected to him, and I was really, really glad that I did, and I'm still waiting on that with Samoa Joe, because he's really talented, but I just don't know what to do with him, I guess? I don't know. It's difficult.
I feel like with me with Samoa Joe, like I really like Samoa Joe. I really like him. But I just don't think the current role's working for him. For me, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's there,
right?
And it's not really anything more than just being there. And he's so good. Like
He looks about 5 years younger in NXT as well.
Yeah, I mean he's got himself in ridiculously good shape for his size, and I do. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the whole makeshift tag team things later, but the one tag team that I would.
Oh, god damn it!
There's a run-in!
Sorry, that was my phone.
I run in from Emma.
Okay,
Fine.
continue.
Emma makes a run-in. Yeah, so the thing, we'll talk about makeshift tag teams later, but the one tag team that I would really argue that I do think deserve to be in this tournament and it works is Balor and Joe, because I feel like when they eventually have the breakup, there's a kind of written story in there of Joe being sort of cast aside a little bit, because even when you see the celebrations later on, everybody's clamoring to Balor. They're not clamoring to Joe as much.
Well, and there was that backstage fallout thing that kind of followed that up. I don't know if you guys saw it, where Joe and Finn are celebrating, but Joe goes, we've lost focus, and I want that, and I want the title. And Finn goes, if you want a title shot, you can have it. And they're about to shake hands, and William Regal, general manager extraordinaire, managing things generally, comes over and is like, not that easy. I'm the general manager, so we're going to have a battle royal. And Joe's like, have I not earned my shot? I've gotten all the victories. I get all the wins. He's fine with me wrestling him for the title. And Regal gets in his face kind of and is like, it's not that simple. Next week, we'll be having a battle royal to crown the #1 contender for the NXT championship. And I was like, yeah, William Regal.
I fucking love a battle royal. See, but it's like a good battle royal, not like a Raw one.
It better be a good battle royal, not like the one Mason Ryan won. That one was awful.
But yeah, I like Joe and Balor together. That's basically all I had to say. And the mechanics were fun.
The mechanics are so good. Can I just say the mechanics are so good? And I know that I always harp on loving them.
Their tag team work together was excellent.
Their tag team work is excellent. And I mean, this is the team that Edge specifically praised in the Stone Cold podcast, right? For excellent tag team strategy, cutting off the ring, doing all these things. And they're so good. And I just hate that they lost to Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. I hate it so much. And obviously they were going to lose. If you have a brain in your head, they're going to lose. But sometimes I don't have a brain in my head when I'm watching NXT. And I just get really, really hopeful that maybe something will happen. Because they beat the Vaudevillains, right? They beat the tag team champions, which means that their tag team work is amazing. And it's so good. And I just want to point out some of the tag team work that the Mechanics did in this match, because seriously, I don't think they get enough appreciation, except for me and Edge. So, I'm just saying.
Except for me and Edge.
Yep. And a lot of other people too, but I don't know.
Specifically you and Edge.
Specifically Edge and me, because there's that. But the Mechanics started off just, like, their tag team work is so good, right? Like, Finn Balor looked really, really good when he started out, and he was, you know, doing really sweet tope and some drop kicks and whatnot, but immediately Dash Wilder is saving Scott Dawson from Finn Balor's offense. It's really great. Scott Dawson was the one that started working Finn Balor's knee in the first place, that set up the story of the rest of the night, right? And he just kept going at it, and I don't know, just all of the work of the body part was just so good. And Scott Dawson did a really cool half crab that I think looked really, 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 really good. And at one point, I always have to mention this too, but Rich says, they're mechanical in nature. And I'm like mechanics? Just call them the Mechanics. Stop calling them Dawson and Wilder. Stop calling them Dash and Dawson, because that sounds stupid. You know what half the people on the internet call them? Dash and Wilder. That is one person. They need a new name, and it should be the Mechanics. And now I think I'm done. But
You see, I didn't know that the Mechanics wasn't a real thing.
it was a real thing.
Oh, right, so this is not something you just made up. They
No.
used to be called that.
This is not something that I just made up.
Because I was watching this, I'm like, why are they not called the Mechanics? That's what Sondra calls them.
Yeah, they were called the Mechanics. Well,
But then we used to call John Cena a dick, but doesn't mean we called him on TV.
this is very true. Also, Dana Boobs.
Yeah.
Which should still be her name.
Yeah. But I thought, I don't know, their tag team work was really great. There's a bit where, you know, Finn can barely move on his leg, and he's trying to get up for the coup de grace or whatever, and Scott Dawson gets thrown to the outside by Joe, and Dash Wilder, like, goes around the ring and hits Finn Balor down. I don't know. They're really, really good, and they're cutting off the ring kind of into quarter, not even just in half, which I love. And sorry, I keep losing my spot, and I'm all over the place because I haven't slept. But Finn Balor...
Did you just say you're all over the place because you're a slut?
No.
No, because she hasn't slept.
Because I haven't slept.
Okay.
I'm all over the place, guys.
I thought I missed a really
I'm
bad
just
plot.
such a slut, you know. I've been married for almost 6 years. That would be an issue.
It would.
I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be a good thing. No.
This is like the best takeover run that we've ever done. We had an Emma run-in.
Solomon Crow interrupted.
Robert thinks Finn's sexy and he's called the Finns. Jesus.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I really liked Finn selling in this match. I didn't necessarily love him winning with the coup de grace because, you know, they did their muscle buster into coup de grace to finish the match, which I think is a great combination of moves, and also two of the most deadly moves in NXT, right? Like, no one kicks out of the coup de grace except for Kevin Owens once, and no one kicks out of the muscle buster, right? So if you do both at once, like, boom, you're dead, basically. And boom, Scott Dawson was dead, and so were my dreams. But that's okay. But Finn Balor winning with the coup de grace with his leg, I was like, maybe that's not super smart, but it's okay. That will come back into play later.
Yeah, they did kind of reference that, didn't they, in the commentary. They were like, this
They
is not a
did.
smart move, you know, he shouldn't be doing that. Joe could have won it with a muscle buster, like there was no need to. So I kind of like that little bit.
I think they covered it fine on commentary, and I think it worked. I was just also disgruntled, basically. But after the match, we saw Sasha Banks getting ready backstage, which was cool. They showed some music festival touring footage because they were at a music festival in Tennessee, I think, and that was neat. And after that, we got Jason Jordan and Chad Gable versus Rhyno and Baron Corbin. Now, if I was upset about the outcome of the previous match, I was not happy about the outcome of this match. This was a very weird takeover for me because the wrestling was so good, and I really loved the matches, actually. Like, all of them. All of them were very, very good, including this one that includes Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin had a very good match here, right? And so I loved watching it again, actually, when I was watching just like the wrestling to take notes and kind of get myself ready for the show, which I clearly haven't done that good of a job of doing, but whatever. But the
Have you
first
seen
time
it?
I
Have you
watched
seen
it
how we
through,
prepare for Raw?
yeah,
We
you
prepare for
open
Raw
the
by not
results
watching
page
it.
and not watching it. But I care about NXT.
It's the only way to do
Pretty
Baron Corbin
much.
was really good in this match, though, and I think the thing is, like, with Jordan and Gable, like, I thought they were really good here, like a lot better than I thought they were before, just because I hadn't really seen much of them. But I actually think it makes sense for Corbin and Rhyno to win. They are the established guys in NXT. Jordan and Gable are quite new as a tag team, so this one I was more okay with of a tag team losing than I was in the first one.
I was way less okay with it because Jason Jordan and Chad Gable have great teamwork also. And Rhyno and Baron Corbin are not a freaking team. Rhyno and Baron Corbin have fought each other. And I mean, I liked the commentary made the point that they respect each other or whatever because they fought and they, battled and they brawled and it was crazy. And Rich brought up the fact that Rhyno went up to Baron after their match and was like, that was fun. Let's do it again because I'm a baby Rhyno and I want to play again because I like this game. And maybe he didn't say all of that, but in my head he did. And they brought that up and then they decided, you know what? Yeah, we can both brawl and we can both be awesome and let's be together, even though William Regal was the one that put them together. They didn't decide to be a team together, but whatever. But they're not a team at all. And I don't know. Let's just talk about the tag team thing. We keep saying we're going to talk about it and I don't know, it's kind of dumb. So a tag team that is established, especially like Jason Jordan and Chad Gable or like the Mechanics, because Jason Jordan and Chad Gable have been together long enough that they've established a really, really good tag team dynamic, and they're both great wrestlers. So them working together so well as a team, I mean, doing a double Northern Lights suplex into a bridging pin, how beautiful is that? It's so beautiful. Like, bridging pins are some of my favorite things, especially when they're off of Northern Light suplexes or Fisherman's Hook suplexes or whatever. Like, those are some of my favorite things in wrestling. And they did it together, and it was so pretty, and Rhyno and Baron Corbin just win. I mean, admittedly, the end of the match was super great. Baron Corbin had such a great flurry. I realized during this match, and especially at the end, because Rhyno kind of was in the majority of the match and did the majority of the work earlier on, but once Baron Corbin tagged in, he looked great. And that's not something I say, like, ever. So, kudos to Baron Corbin. And I realized Baron Corbin is more Roman Reigns than ever after this match, right? Like, they wanted us to like Roman Reigns so badly. And, like, Baron Corbin is not a handsome prince. He's kind of, thinning hair and has a stomach vagina, but whatever. Like, they're still trying to be like, Baron Corbin's the guy, you guys, like, I promise. And we're like, no, but he's not. He's boring. Like, he has this really cool entrance and awesome pants, but, like, no. But the thing is, Baron Corbin, once he got tagged in at the end of the tag match, he kind of cleaned house, and he looked fantastic. So it's like...
I think that Baron Corbin is going to be the textbook example of why something like NXT is really good for guys.
Yeah.
Because, if Roman had been given some time, like Baron Corbin has been, as a sort of anointed one, then I guess it's more forgivable what's going on with him. And now he's got better and people are like, okay, sure. Like, I think there's still a point in time where, we could all grow to love Baron Corbin. I think that could happen. Like, that could happen. He could grow to be like a sort of popular performer. As a heel or a babyface, whichever. Whereas with Roman Reigns now, like, he will forever be booed WrestleMania time. Do you not think?
Because they ruined things for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, because they really hurt him long term. So I think, like, from now on, every Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, Roman Reigns is going to get booed. Yeah. I just don't think there's any way around that. So whereas, maybe because Corbin was sort of on NXT, and although he was a bit of a pet project, he was sort of moved around a little bit and they adjusted to how people were reacting to him. People are reacting differently now. There was a little bit of room for character work there. And I guess it's paying off for him a little bit. He was much less annoying than I've found him previously on this show.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that he's finally being allowed to incorporate moves into his matches too, because for so long it was just boom, end of days and you're done, and that was it. And even in his matches, like his match with Rhyno was, you know, it was fine. It was decent. His match with Joe at the previous takeover was my favorite Baron Corbin match. And now this is my favorite Baron Corbin match. So it's good that they're getting better and better and better. And he's doing that spinny thing, and I can't remember what the actual name of that move is, but he did it twice. And I kind of popped for it. And even though he was going to be pinning my Chad Gable, I was like, that was the coolest end of days ever, with Chad Gable kind of going up and around him and then it actually being countered into a thing instead of just, oh, now I will grab you and you're done. So kudos to Baron Corbin for getting better is the point of all of that. And I really hope he continues to improve, because I've been saying for a long time, right? Like, if he gets good, I'm willing for him to be good. Because that's good for him, and it's good for us, because we get to not watch the most boring Baron Corbin matches of all time, which was like every Baron Corbin match of all time until recently.
On the tag teams, this is all I've got to say about it. I do prefer my tag teams to be tag teams. You know, I like them to wear the same gear. I like the Legion of Doom in the matching shoulder pads. I liked Demolition in the matching S&M gear. I like the New Day all in blue, and I like the Dudley Boys all in khaki camouflage or blue camouflage or whatever. So, yeah, I watched this and I saw two makeshift tag teams with single stars go over to teams who look like tag teams and wrestle like tag teams. And I guess like there is a part of me that goes, you know, in an ideal world, wouldn't it be great if, you know, the two tag teams went over and went to the final? But then I guess it's all about what the long term is for this. And for me, all I see this Dusty thing. I mean, yeah, it's a nice way to honor him, of course. But really, I just kind of see this as the first step in the Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor story. Like, I think this is going to be the sort of the first bit of that video package for when Joe finally turns on him, and they probably have their big match in London, maybe in December, maybe. So
it's possible.
It didn't really bother me that much, because I could see, I could just see what they were doing. And WWE are always so much about, like, you know, singles guys getting put together as tag teams. And as much as we love tag team wrestling, they don't love it as much as we do. And if they can see an opportunity to exploit a tag team situation to get over some of their single stars, then that's what they're going to do. And they'll always be made to look second best. So even though the two tag teams that lost going into the final are better tag teams and better tag team wrestlers, they're always going to be outclassed by, you know, the NXT champion Samoa Joe and Baron Corbin. They're kind of next big thing, I guess, and Rhyno as well. So yeah, I totally get why people would be annoyed about it. And we had people on Facebook for the main show this week being like, "Oh, what do you think about the wrong team winning, or the wrong teams going to the final?" And I'm like, well, for what they want to do, the wrong teams didn't go to the final. It was for what they want to do. The right team made it to the final. Even if we would all love to live in a pure tag team world where the pure tag teams are rewarded for being so great together. But you know what? The thing to look forward to is the fact that now that this tournament thing is over and it has served its purpose to give us a crowning moment for Joe and Finn together, which will only make their separation more heartbreaking. We can get back to the Vaudevillains, and they're not going to be feuding with these guys.
The Vaudevillains, who are the champions and were barely mentioned on the show, barely. The only mention they got was that they lost to the Mechanics.
They're going to be feuding with the Mechanics, and they're going to be feuding with Gable and Jordan, and that's going to be great stuff to watch, because those are proper tag teams, and we'll still get that. But this Dusty Classic thing, as well as I was a bit creeped out by the sort of the voice of Dusty just rattling through Full Sail now and again. It was kind of like, whoa, disembodied voice of Dusty Rhodes. But yeah, I get why people were a wee bit kind of about it, but I guess you just got to look at it from the way their perspective and what they wanted to do with it. And you know, it was the three matches were all still very enjoyable. So you know, it was what it was.
It was what it was. But my problem is that this tournament, you know, A, started to kill my soul, but B, killing my soul wasn't even worth it, because when they announced the tag team tournament, and they've been establishing tag teams more and more and more in NXT, right? Like, we do have the Vaudevillains, we have Enzo and Cass, we have Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, we have the Mechanics, we have tag teams. We've Blake and Murphy, they're still around somewhere, I assume. You know, we have a lot of tag teams who are actual tag teams, and it's been very obvious to me in the past, 6 months to maybe even a year, that the tag teams are working very, very hard behind the scenes at the Performance Center to be tag teams. They all have tandem finishers. They all cut off the ring really well. They all work together super, super well as tag teams very intentionally. So when William Regal announced a tag team tournament, I thought, okay, finally we're going to have focus on the tag division, which has been the weakest division in NXT by far, like always, right? I was talking to Calvin Barry or Steve Decker about this? I was talking to them at the same time, but they were like, well, the tag division, I mean, you know, the Ascension were never around and the Lucha Dragons were never around. And I was like, yeah, remember my tag team blindness? I've been trying really, really hard to cure that. Like, I could never remember who was the tag team champions, even when it was the Ascension for 345 days or whatever. And I've been getting more into the tag division because they've been making me more into the tag division by showing their work and making progress and actually building stories, kind of, maybe. And what this tournament did, essentially, was say, nope, no, don't care about this. Just stop being invested, because our tag team division's just a pile of shite, because all the single stars can just trounce them. And, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Robert, but as a fan of NXT, and as someone who wants to love all of NXT, I don't want to be told that something doesn't matter, and I don't want to be told that something's that secondary, because I think the tag team titles and the tag team division should be its own freestanding thing. I think the titles should be important. I don't feel like they're that important right now, because this tournament wasn't even for anything other than a trophy and to honor Dusty Rhodes, and that's well and good, but for a while, I thought it was going to be for the number one contendership or something like that. I was really confused when the Vaudevillains were in the tournament. It was like, what's the point of this? And what they did is, I mean, exactly what you said, they put the single stars over the tag teams. Now, am I really, really excited for Chad Gable and Jason Jordan versus the Mechanics? Yes, I am. That is a match that I want to see so badly, right? Like, I've wanted to see that match for ages, in proper form, given time. But basically they told me, no, these tag teams, despite all of their work and despite the fact that they should be at the top of their division, they can't hold a candle to the single stars who are just put together. And that bothers me, because it's just telling me that things in NXT don't matter, and it's kind of just doing everything to disconnect it from the main event scene, and it all feels very fragmented right now.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, the whole idea of makeshift singles guys in tag teams going over established tag teams has been a problem in the wider WWE landscape for well over 15 years. Like,
yeah.
Every time they do it, they throw together, Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the first time, and they can win the tag belts the first time they've ever tagged together, back in '97 and stuff like that. So they've been doing it for a very long time, and it is frustrating if you're a fan. Like, I think all three of us are of traditional good tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
But I guess they must have sat down and went, okay, this Dusty Classic thing, this is nothing to do with the NXT tag teams. We're going to use it to push the sort of the Finn Balor Samoa Joe thing. Their friendship is going to be the focus of it, which isn't fun. But then I suppose I guess that they did get a lot of the bigger teams, because although like the Mechanics and do the other guys have a team name? No, they don't have a team name.
Not since they broke up Shoot Nation on the live events. Like, Sawyer Fulton and Angelo Dawkins and Jason Jordan and Chad Gable were all together, and
right.
Yeah, like they kind of broke that up. Like, sometimes I still will just reference them as Shoot Nation.
Yeah, well, those guys, like, they were they're kind of on the up. So
or Team Ready Willing Gable.
It would have been like really horrendous if you had like the Vaudevillains being defeated on this show to get Samoa Joe and Finn or the other guys to the final. Like, that would be kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, that's really, really stupid. So I guess although they decided maybe something that we don't all agree with regards to who this tournament was really for, they did sort of keep their tag champs at least away from it in the end. I know they were probably involved earlier on. I actually don't know. I don't know where they were involved in this whole thing, but
yeah, they were beaten in the second round by the Mechanics, I want to say, on a live event.
So yeah, so the idea that they didn't show the tag team champions being chumped out to anybody. I think that was a deliberate decision, which goes to show that although the kind of the single stars going over maybe isn't the best idea in the whole wide world when it comes to establishing the tag division, they could have put them over the tag champs and Enzo and Cass on the show, who are sort of bigger, more established fan favorite teams, I guess, and they chose not to do that. So at least there's that. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like
straws
Hideo
made of silver
Itami getting
lining.
out of the Battle Royal at WrestleMania so quickly so that he was away from that final bit. I mean, I can see that. It just, there are so many ways that they could have arrived at Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. So many ways. Like, so many. Did they have to kill the tag team division in the process? Really? Was that necessary?
I don't think they kill it unless they beat the champions.
I don't know.
Kenny?
Kenny?
Kenny, would you rather have
These are shocking. I'm gonna disagree with part of it. I think it's weird because this has kind of been a thing that WWE have done for about 15 years. Well, almost 20 actually, because back in '96, I think it was, when Shawn Michaels was the WWF champion, he was teaming with Ahmed Johnson against the Smoking Guns when they were the tag team champions. In '97, Austin won with Dude Love, and Austin won with Shawn Michaels, and it went on and on and on. And then I remember when John Cena and Shawn Michaels won the tag team titles, and then they were both in the main event of WrestleMania, but neither of them came out with the belts. And it was like, well, what's the point in that? I actually would have rather the Vaudevillains be in the final and get beat. I think it's far worse that, for this whole tag team discussion that we're having, and I agree with pretty much everything you guys have said, but to me, it's a lot worse to say, the Vaudevillains, the tag team champions, are so crap that they can't even make it to the final. They get knocked out in round 2. And then there's these other tag teams. And I guess the issue I've got with like Jordan and Gable or the Mechanics is I don't see them as tag teams.
Really?
Because, I mean, they are tag teams. They are. But WWE does not make me care about them as tag teams. They don't have tag team names. I hate tag teams that don't have a name. I hate Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Or I want a name. If you're going to be a tag team, you're going to be a proper tag team, have a name. Maybe that's just like an old school way of looking at it, but like I like the names, It's like the Dudley Boys. You wouldn't say, here's Devon and Bubba Ray, and that's it. That's their names. Just singular names. It feels a bit, I don't like it. I prefer to have a fully fledged tag team name. I think that Jordan and Gable, I came out of this liking them more than I did going in. So for me, that was a positive for them. But I do agree that, this is WWE's way that they do it. They don't see tag teams as important. I'm not saying that's right, because it's not. But I do think that the only thing I would add is that I would have rather seen the Vaudevillains in the final and have a really competitive match where like it took Joe and Balor like every single thing they could to like just get a victory over the Vaudevillains, who were the tag team champions, and then maybe do a shake hands thing after the match. That to me would have protected the tag team champions far more than have them go out in round 2.
Wouldn't that automatically make Joe and Balor go for the tag titles, though?
Did the Vaudevillains get eliminated on television?
No.
See, that's the thing. Like, again, I agree with where Kenny's coming from, but I think in their I'm trying to look at it from their perspective, like in their own weird way. Like they put the Vaudevillains out of the tournament, not on TV, and then they don't even mention them on this show because they do not. Because in their mind, they're like, well, we don't even talk about it because they don't want us to think that. Although
they did mention them once during the match.
Oh, okay, well, but they're not like, they don't talk about the fact that they got eliminated. We are saying they got eliminated like because we know that because we read what happened in the live results, but they didn't make it part of the show that the Vaudevillains were out of this tournament early, or they didn't make it the story. They never really referenced they suck, like they didn't make it to the end. They just sort of made it about the guys who did make it there. So again, I'm not really agreeing with their logic. But I think they did, in their own twisted, weird, makes no sense way, try to not suggest that the tag champs are chumps. That they didn't even have them on this show. They were like, they wanted you to forget that the tag team champions were not part of this tournament. And I'm not saying that's right, but I think in their mind, by not even really making too much of a deal about them, then they were sort of shielding them. But it's all very backwards. But
what you could do to say Joe and Balor being together, they're going to do it through the tag tournament. Wouldn't it have made more sense that Joe and Balor as a cohesive unit just managed to beat the Vaudevillains, and then the story on TV was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe now want a shot at the tag team championships, and then the Vaudevillains beat them, and that makes Joe do the heel turn?
Yeah, maybe, but what they wanted was
for you to forget about them.
Well, no, but they wanted their big guys. Like they wanted Joe, Finn, Rhino, and Baron Corbin in that final, and that was that. You know, those are the guys they see as money. And if we don't, I mean, yeah, we can cry into our LOD shoulder pads about how tag team wrestling doesn't matter anymore.
Or my Chad Gable towel.
Yeah, but that's just kind of what they wanted, and I'm like, oh well, if that's what they want to do, that's what.
I really came out of this having a lot more time for Chad Gable and Jason Jordan.
Oh yeah, they were great.
So
loved them.
So I feel that there was positives to take out of it. I'm not saying that the way they booked this tag tournament is how I would have done it or how any of us would have done it, but you know, like Robert said, like this is the way they do things. This is what they want to do. So yeah, I'm at least glad.
Unfortunately, to the WWE, a tag team is just two potential single stars that haven't feuded yet. That's how every tag team to them is like, right, which one's going to be the big star? When are we going to turn them on each other?
And like I say, my biggest issue out of all of this stuff isn't even the fact that these guys were in the final. And I know I've said it earlier, but why are tag teams why have they not got names anymore?
Well,
Blake
they
and
did.
Murphy. Why the tag team champions didn't have a tag team name?
They call them BAMF.
It's been happening for so long.
They have like behind the scenes names, kind of. Well, Enzo and Cass don't even have a name. I mean, I call them the realest guys in the room or the certified G's, but they don't have.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Like,
I know you don't.
They should have a name. Like, I just don't. I wish somebody could explain to me.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Right, the last time, and I agree with you. They should have names. This has been happening for a decade. You know, teams that names. But you know, the most recent attempts of the WWE to name teams came up with Team Bad and Team PCB. So maybe we should be thankful that they're not giving these guys names.
Yeah, I'm with Robert on this one, frankly. We don't need any more of that.
Let's not
we also have the New Day, so it's not all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just think if they gave tag teams names, it's a minute thing.
Oh yeah, to be fair, as a good example, name a team that has got the most over in the last 5 years, and it's probably the New Day, and they have a name. So, but they probably came up with it. So, sure. Team New York, that's Enzo and Cass.
So Enzo's from Jersey.
Team Angle, that's
I did love them singing Gable to Kurt Angle's theme.
Yeah,
that made me so happy. And then going into Ready, Willing, Gable, Ready, Willing. Like, the crowd is so behind Chad Gable, as well they should be. And you have no idea how much I'm grinning to hear you guys say that you like Jason Jordan and Chad Gable more after this match, because they're so good. And also, Jason Jordan looked great here. Jason Jordan's been stepping it up lately. He got a hot tag, and he looked amazing. And he came in, and he drop-kicked them to death, and he put those straps down, and he was like, I'm friggin' Jason Jordan, look, I'm finally a person, and I can move my face now, and yay, I have a personality. And he was great. And I was really, really excited to see that, because I think that they, as a team, have been stepping it up every time I see them. Jason Jordan especially hasn't really clicked. He's been really good for a long time. I think it was the first episode Bob and I recorded. I was like, I feel like Jason Jordan's really good, and he's been really good, but something's missing, and I don't know, and I think he's found it, and I think it was Chad Gable, and I think that they're just made to be together, and I love it, and I'm totally ready, Willing, Gable for them to be tag champions, and also Chad Gable should win the world, because I've been in love with him since his debut match against Tyler Breeze, when he basically jobbed to Tyler Breeze, but looked so good doing it, and it was really exciting for me. Also, have to mention, happy birthday to Rhyno on October 7th. Which means he's officially 40 now, but still not too old to wrestle. But yes, Baron Corbin and Rhyno do win the match, and like I said, very cool end of days at the end, and I at least really enjoyed that, so that was cool. We saw an Asuka vignette of her murder death kicking some ladies, and then we got Asuka versus Dana Boobs. Now, what did you guys think of this?
I thought it was pretty good. I kind of liked the vibe of it, because you guys had said to me, like, you know, oh, you're going to enjoy like the murdering of Dana Boobs, and I was like, all right, okay, this is pretty one-sided, which it wasn't, but it didn't really feel like the type of women's match you usually see. Like they were quite sort of ragged and rough with each other, and she was really just chucking her around, and but then it's not like Boobs got in some offense, so yeah. but she would always make mistakes in the way that she would anger her, and Asuka is I really like her whole in-ring attitude, the way that she carries herself. Like people right now are sort of like, yay, she's new and cool, but as soon as she turns that shit on Bayley, they're going to be like, oh no.
What an entrance!
I also, but I was just kind of watching this whole thing, going, I really want to see her fuck up Eva Marie. Like, just really beat the shit out of her.
Well, she needs to fuck up Emma first, and I am so excited about that.
As a pet peeve, and it's not going to be a shock, I hate the pronunciation of her name and the spelling of her name. It annoys me no end.
But it's Japanese.
I look at it and I think Asuka. I can't get it out of my head. I just can't.
But that's obviously not the Japanese pronunciation.
But the U is there, and Asuka. I just can't get away from it.
I think you say it really quickly. Like that's what I think. They're saying Asuka, but I think it's Asuka.
Yeah.
Asuka.
Well, it's like
they're just
Kazuchika Okada. They don't say like Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah.
They say Kazuchika.
I think it's just because it's like it's.
Because Kenny's a racist.
I think because Kenny's a racist and he hates Asian people.
It's 5 letters, is it? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it was 5 or 6 letters. Yeah.
Well, my last name is 6 letters and it's just 2 syllables, so.
Yeah, but you still pronounce it the way that it's. Anyway, it annoys me, but I thought this was fine. I don't think it was good, but I thought it was fine, and the reason for that is because Asuka is great, but Dana Boobs is not. And she couldn't really show her full range of offense. I felt like when I was watching it, I was like, Asuka is going a gear below what she can go to because Dana Boobs has to keep up with her. But I thought it was a nice introduction to her.
I thought it really exposed boobs.
Really? I thought it really exposed boobs.
Yeah,
phrasing.
I thought it really exposed her for it was a sort of I think that's what I kind of liked about it.
I think that was the point though, wasn't it?
Yeah, like it was her kind of coming in and just kind of going, no, like she was trying stuff, and every time Asuka's just like, no.
And the build up to it was Dana Boobs and Emma being so arrogant, right? But then Dana seeing, a vignette footage last week of Asuka in a punching bag, and she was like, oh shit, this is not going to be good. And Emma even looks at her and goes, good luck with that.
I think they made the right call. They made the right call by putting Boobs in there first.
Yeah.
Because she is the crappiest out of, well, apart from Eva Marie, but she is the crappiest of the people that Asuka's going to go through to get to Bayley.
The worst, Kenny. She is the worst.
It's funny.
She's not the crappiest.
She is.
It's not grammatically correct to say the crappiest.
But it sounds good.
It doesn't sound good. It just sticks out.
It does. She's so the crappiest. Come on. She is.
Robert's next teaching lesson, kids. Don't say crappist. If anyone says crappist in their debates.
That sounds like someone who is a purveyor of crap.
Yeah, it does.
I am the crappist. Like the
Boobs is the purveyor of crap. Like she is. That's her job.
You know what?
I
will disagree somewhat because I think Dana Boobs is figuring it out. I think Dana Boobs is pulling a Nikki Bella on us. I really do.
I kind of like how much she is in the ring. Like she's really irritating me.
Sondra and I's definition of what a Nikki Bella is might be.
I know
different.
It's very different. I know that I like Nikki Bella a lot more than you like Nikki Bella. But Dana Boobs doesn't have to be an in-ring technician. Like not everyone in the women's division has to be a super in-ring technician, right? Like not everyone in the men's division is a super in-ring technician.
Yeah, there is actually sort of like a weird reverse injustice there, where in the men's side of wrestling, like you say, not everyone has to be technically great. Like if you play a great character, you get away with it. But women, if like now because of the sort of the precedent that's been set by this whole quote unquote Divas Revolution thing, it's like, well, every female wrestler has to be the absolute best in ring, and I'm like, well, you know what? Nikki Bella's a great bitch. Like she's a great bitch, and I'll give her that. I'll be like, yeah, sure. And then I think Dana Boobs, like in this match, was a great bitch, a really good, horrible cunt. And when Asuka did her kind of pose and like the muscle pose and stuff, and was,
loved that.
Like ripping the piss out of her. I was like, that's quite funny. Yeah.
And patting her on the head like she does to Devin. Well, not anymore.
Yeah. So I kind of like, she's not the greatest in the ring, but like I'll forgive her if she can become hateable. Then you go Eva Marie, who's just the worst of everything.
Like what I'm saying is, it was a nice introduction. For me, I didn't think it was a good match. That was fine. It was a nice introduction to what Asuka can do. But for me, it's like, I was watching her come out in her entrance and the mask and all that, and I just thought, I just cannot wait. And I'm hoping it's going to be in Dallas. Like, I'm hoping that's when we're going to get it. I hope that, like, Bayley and Asuka are going to headline the NXT special in Dallas. Like, that would be, it's like, it's the first time that I've ever thought about two women in wrestling and thought, my God, I can't wait to see those two have a face-off.
Yeah, well, that's the part. That's the whole kind of. Yeah, that's what they were going for. Wasn't meant to be
that
great.
is the point. And I think that I will just defend Dana a little bit too, and say that being good in the ring has varying definitions. Like, Kenny, who's your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler is the Macho Man Randy Savage.
No, shut up.
Let's play the first thing Kenny ever said on Inside the Ropes.
You mean, hello, my name is Kenny McIntyre?
No, that's
what has that got to do with this?
We never introduced ourselves in the first show. You just went right into saying you were a lifelong Hulkamaniac.
Yeah.
Things change. People realize that they can't support mad racists.
You can still support a mad racist if you like. Yeah, good in the ring at a different time. Yeah, if she's going to up her character game, then I'll forgive her for not being Sasha Banks.
And I think she just wants to be, she needs to be a hossy muscle woman who will just,
yeah, but I kind of like
over. Like, that's it allows variety in the women's division. And her teaming with Emma is great because Emma's such a good wrestler that when they tag together and everything, like, they each have their roles in the team. And when Emma and Dana eventually face off, I actually think it's going to be good. And
I mean, just to clarify, I'm not saying I thought it was bad.
But you did say it was bad. You said it wasn't.
No. I said I thought it was fine. It was very average. Average is not bad. I'm just saying I didn't think it was good.
All right, I'm not ragging on you. I'm just talking about Dana. I'm happy that, like, because her whole thing is, like, she's the bodybuilder or whatever. So, like, don't tell me she's a technical wrestler on the level with the other ladies. I never want to see her 30-minute Ironman match. But if the way they push her as a character is that she's a big bully, like, I'm big, I've got loads of muscles. Like, I think that's fine. Like, there are male characters like that. There could be a lady character that does that. That's just like, I'll just run you over with clotheslines and punches because I'm a big musclehead idiot. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that.
I'm totally fine with that. And I will say,
I really think she should be called Dana Boobs.
Yeah, I know. I think she should.
What is her actual second name again?
Brooke.
That's it. Right.
Dana Brooke. Not Dana Brooks. Like, all sorts of people call her. It bugs me. But I will say, too, Asuka, I mean, she's murder death kicking, and it's great. And she doesn't have to slap her leg on kicks on, like, a guy who comes up soon later. Because she's just, like, kicking the shit out of Dana. And she and Hideo Itami and Daniel Bryan should just be in a club where they kick everyone to death. And Tyler Breeze. And, like, we will kick you to death club. I absolutely love it. And I was listening to a podcast, and I can't remember which one. It might have been Street 2, maybe. I don't know. But someone described Asuka as Daniel Bryan meets Ultimate Warrior. And it made perfect sense to me. And now that's what I'm thinking of, and I really, really love it.
That's amazing.
Because
That's a
true.
great comparison.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fantastic. But Asuka's counters, too, and, like, another reason I think that fits, is she started out the match with some pinfall attempts and some really awesome wrestling counters. So it wasn't just kicking, it was a lot of really, really good wrestling. And
I like the bit where Dana kept trying to roll out, and she would roll with her.
Yeah, she rolled with her.
She could break it. I was like, oh, that's quite fun. And she just looked at her face. She was so happy with herself.
Yeah. And, like, when Dana got that body scissors on, like, yeah, she didn't really have it locked in, and it was kind of sloppy and messy. But, like, Asuka made it look okay for a minute, but then she countered it. She grabbed Dana's ankle. It got her into a knee bar or whatever. Goes for an ankle lock. It was awesome. It was so beautiful. And then, turns it into a German suplex. And her finisher, the, modified chicken wing body scissors thing, it's really similar to Samoa Joe's finisher, but I think he does a sleeper instead of the chicken wing thing. But yeah, like,
I like the crowd doing the Asuka City bitch thing.
Yeah, Asuka City.
Wow. So what was up next?
Ania Jackson vignette, because she's debuting next week. So
okay.
Her outfit is very interesting, and I think she's battling Dana for all the makeup and all the land. So after that,
I just want to say one more time, I am so excited for Bayley and Asuka.
I am also so excited for Bayley and Asuka. But, I should mention, after the match, Dana's out. She's totally out. There was a backstage fallout thing where she goes, "Is the match over? I beat her, right? I beat her really quick." And Emma's like, "No, honey, no," pretty much. And Dana's like, no, I beat her, right? And then Asuka comes and taunts her, basically. And she was like, that that was Asuka, but I beat her. Because Dana Boobs is not very smart, and that's part of her thing. And she's so annoying, and I love her. But Asuka faced off with Emma after the match, too, and had kind of a stare down. So we're getting Asuka versus Emma, which isn't quite Asuka versus Bayley, but it's pretty damn close. And I'm super stoked. And we'll get Dana Boobs on the outside being irritating, and I'm so excited for that, too. But after that, we had Tyler Breeze versus Apollo Crews. And Tyler Breeze's entrance looks even cooler when they have so many Trons for his selfies, and it's just gorgeous. And I love him. And now he's from Monte Carlo, which I hadn't noticed until this week, even though it's been a couple weeks since the season changed, so I feel like I haven't been paying enough attention. But the whole story here is supposed to be that Tyler Breeze is kind of upset and frustrated that he gets, he keeps losing, basically. Like, he keeps getting knocked down the card, and he's frustrated because what Corey Graves said, Tyler Breeze has been in NXT since day one, which is true. He was Mike Dalton at the time, but he has been there since day one. He's watched superstars come in and pass him by, Kevin Owens, The Shield, guys that have been on the main roster doing big things. Tyler Breeze has been here all along. Of course he's frustrated. What he would do with a win tonight is put himself back in the championship picture and make himself totally trending and relevant again, because Byron had said Tyler's created a mission to be in the spotlight. Now, that's an interesting story, but it's not as interesting a story if he just keeps losing, because that's just proving the point. And it makes me so, so sad. And I really didn't like the way this went, even though the match itself was really good. That's like the theme of this takeover, other than the main event and Asuka. So basically all the men's matches.
I'm just trying to figure out what they're trying to do, because I'm a massive fan of Tyler Breeze. I think he's what Dolph Ziggler could only deign to be, which he never will be. But I don't really know what's going on with Tyler Breeze, because Apollo Crews essentially looks like a main eventer, like a WWE main eventer, not even an NXT one. So he's going to the top, and that's obviously going to happen. But I just don't know. Tyler Breeze loses pretty much every big match he ever has, and
now
it doesn't
he
seem
does.
like
He didn't, but he does now.
Like now he does, and I just don't. I'm hoping that this is a story that they're going to somehow pay off, that he does start winning again, but I'm just not too sure, and I kind of left feeling a little bit bummed out for Tyler Breeze, but at the same time, I'm really excited about Apollo Crews, and I really like him. I think he's a guy that's one to watch in NXT.
He is one to watch. I'm having difficulty with this whole indie influx kind of. I was talking to Kelvin Berry, and he was saying something like NXT needs to leave the indies alone. They're taking all the indie guys. We just saw that James Storm is going to be in NXT, like at the tapings and whatnot, which I was not super happy that they spoiled on their Twitter page, but whatever. And I was like, the indies need to leave NXT alone, because
you need to have that balance, don't you? You need to have, because NXT's in this kind of weird transition period where there was all these guys that made NXT. There was for a while there was Tyson Kidd, and there was Cesaro who were there, and there was also Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and Hideo came in for a little bit, but it feels like they're now trying to have all these veterans that are going to be there, like Rhyno and Samoa Joe and James Storm, to kind of go up against the younger guys. So I think it's fine just now, but I think if in 2 months we're talking that NXT's got Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, James Storm, Magnus, and it's basically like TNA done with competence, then I'm not too sure that's a great thing.
Well, something I said on the show last week, which is actually going to be posted the same day as this one, but I feel like they're not showing their work with a lot of the indie guys, because what we saw with Tyler Breeze, what we saw with Sami Zayn, what we saw with Antonio Cesaro when he was in NXT, he was on the main roster at the same time, but they showed their work. They made us care because they told stories and they advanced them as characters. And we're seeing that with, teams like Jason Jordan and Chad Gable and the Mechanics and the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Cass. And we're seeing that with the women's division, obviously. They made us care about the women's division by telling stories and building it up. I mean, a lot of that started with the BFFs, with Summer Rae, and nobody remembers that, but it was part of the progression. And we're not really getting a progression here. We're getting a lot of top indie stars that are all coming in at once. And I don't have a problem with bringing people in, like Asuka, for instance, and saying, no, seriously, they're really good. Look at a vignette of how good they are. and then we're going to make them like one person that we focus on. But they're bringing in Apollo Crews, they're bringing in Tommaso Ciampa, they're bringing in Johnny Gargano, they're bringing in James Storm, they're bringing in all these people, and that doesn't leave any room for the people who have been there and who are trying to still grow and progress. Like, other than Baron Corbin, who really are they pushing to the top that they haven't just told us they are good? Like, that's what they've done with Finn Balor even. And Samoa Joe, obviously, like I said, I don't connect to him because they're not really showing their work. And that's what bugs me about it. And that's what bugs me about the NXT landscape right now. And this match is kind of the perfect example of that. It was a very good match. Very, very good. And Tyler Breeze is such a good wrestler. And that's part of what upsets me. It'd be one thing if he were just gorgeous, right? And like just the definition of delish and the Sultan of Selfies and Prince Pretty and the most super good looking piece of gorgeousness in NXT. But he's also super, super great wrestler and one of the most consistent wrestlers they have. And I just think it's really unfortunate that he's getting kind of overlooked. And when the story is that he's getting overlooked and then he just kind of keeps losing, it's a problem. And if it leads to my dream match of William Regal and Tyler Breeze in London, then I will be the happiest, Sondra. But I'm just,
It just depends on what NXT you want. If you want NXT, the developmental, where you get to see guys work up from nothing, then I guess that doesn't really exist anymore because NXT now, like, they can say it's developmental, but it's not.
Yeah, but
it's not anymore. It's a touring brand, and like I love Tyler Breeze, but Tyler Breeze doesn't sell tickets to UK Takeover tours or whatever you want to call them. Like Samoa Joe does, and James Storm does, and these guys do. And so, Tommaso Ciampa, like maybe not so much, but they know that they can sell more tickets with these types of guys, whereas you're. Even like your Chad Gables, I guess, he's kind of breaking through a little bit, so that's really good. But it's sort of, these people are coming in and leapfrogging the guys that have been there. And most of the time I sort of get it, because some of the developmental guys aren't that great. Like, I'm not really missing Blake and Murphy. But Tyler Breeze is the one that sticks out to me. I think it's the same for everybody in that he is a great character and a great wrestler. And he's like the one guy who is sort of the contemporary of all those other characters and is kind of overlooked, and that's a shame. And I don't know where they're going to go with that guy. Maybe he should just go to the main roster. I know that probably puts fear in your heart, but he can't be doing much worse.
No, I think it could be worse.
He's getting ignored either way. But
can I just interject for a second? I sadly have to leave, folks, so I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Robert and Sondra. But can I just, for like 2 minutes, just give my thoughts on the main event?
Yes.
Before I go? Okay. First of all, I liked the tag team finals, and I thought the Dusty Rhodes tribute section after it was great. Really enjoyed it.
I'm going to play the audio of Cody Rhodes' speech because it was really beautiful.
Fantastic. With Bayley and Sasha, I thought it was excellent. I thought it was phenomenal. It's just these pedantic things. It should have been called an Iron Woman match.
No!
Actually, no.
I think it should have. Because
Lita said no.
I don't care what she said. What I think is it should be called an Iron Woman match, because why Iron Man? Why not Iron Woman?
This is genuinely what I think the thought process is behind it. It's about it's an equality thing where it's like, well, we're going to call it Iron Woman because there's no way that you could be as tough as an Iron Man. And that's why. But then you have to call it a match of a man to make it seem like the women are better.
No, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Triple H said this in the conference call. Triple H said in the conference call, he addressed it. And I was calling it Iron Woman, but then when I heard the explanation, it made sense, and it's an Iron Man match. Iron Man is actually a type of match and a type of competition. And if a woman competes in like an Ironman triathlon or whatever, and they win, even though it's a men's event too, like they're not called the Iron Woman champion. So basically it's a type of match, and they don't want to change the match name to kind of talk down to the women's division or change it or whatever. And like what Robert said, like Lita said she would actually consider it more offensive if they changed the name to Iron Woman match, because that would kind of make it seem like it's being cutesy and like women can't compete in an Iron Man match.
I liked it. I like them calling it Iron Man.
I get what it is.
I can see both points, but
I would have just preferred it to be called Iron Woman. I actually think it's
sexist as well as racist. Everything's coming.
I actually think it's more offensive to call it Iron Man, but that's just me. Anyway, I thought the match was great, and
offensive to who?
To women. I don't think it's. I think it's.
I don't
to
think
call
it's offensive to women.
It's
I'm not
it's just my
offended.
opinion. It's just my opinion.
That's fine.
I'm allowed to have it. So
You are.
I think that to continue to call it Iron Man when it is a woman in the match, I don't see how calling it Iron Woman would be offensive to anybody. To me, I just don't see calling it that. It doesn't register to me. I just think it's so like when I look at it on paper, I just go, well, it's an Iron Woman match because this is women competing. It's not men competing. So it's anyway. This could be a whole long discussion. But I need to go. But what I was going to say is I thought the match was great and the match was terrific. I loved Sasha's the thing with the little girl. My thought when this show finished was when Triple H was in the ring with Bayley and he was raising her hand. I just thought they have such a gold mine with Bayley.
Yeah, they
They
do.
really do. And they need to, whatever the fuck they did when they brought the other women up,
They
it
need to
needs to
not do
be
that.
it needs to be 10 times better than that. Like they can't fuck her up because she's too valuable. She really is. She's far too valuable. And I thought she was amazing. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go and talk about it. And thanks for having me on, Sondra. I appreciate it.
Of course. It was lovely to hear your voice again.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm glad you could
Okay.
join me down from the skybox.
What film are you going to see?
I'm going to see The Intern. My friend wants to go and see that, the new Robert De Niro and Hathaway film.
Okay.
But I've not heard great things, so I'm a bit like, oh, but we'll see.
I've not even
No,
heard
I was hoping you were going to go see that suffragette movie. I'm like, yeah, you go tell Meryl Streep they can't have an Iron Woman match. She'll backbreak you.
Oh, Meryl Streep, what a ledge. Anyway, okay, have a good day.
All right, bye, Kenny.
Bye.
But just to finish up on Tyler Breeze and Apollo Crews, I mean, it's been kind of my problem with NXT for a while, and we know that. But Apollo Crews, and this is something that bugs me, and it's something I complain about a lot, and it's something I complain about with Paige, and it's something I complain about with Colin Cassidy. And seriously, Apollo Crews, stop slapping your leg. When you drop kick someone, it doesn't go like that. It doesn't. That's not the noise that it makes. It bugs me. And I was talking
It's like
to...
a bad habit from the indies or something like that.
Yes, very yes. It's incredibly frustrating to me because it actually takes me out of the match. And I think Apollo Crews is great. He's so athletic. He's so, I don't know, like he's huge, and you don't think that he can do all of this stuff that he can do, and he can, and it's great. I mean, I think he's kind of working on storytelling, but I think that's why Tyler was such a good opponent for him here, because Tyler is one of the best at like WWE style storytelling in a match, but like in the best way, right? And they did kind of tell a story in this match more than we've seen with Apollo Crews. Normally it's just move, 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 smile, smile, move again, and done. And this wasn't quite that, you know, there was a lot of back and forth, and Tyler did look really great in this match. I love Tyler countering the gorilla press into the moonsault by, you know, he got gorilla press slammed or whatever, and then he just grabbed Apollo's leg because he's like, oh, I've seen what you've done, and I'm going to grab your leg because that counters it. And Apollo still did the moonsault, but Tyler had time to get his knees up and stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm a person who does like notice spots in matches because I love them, because I love wrestling, right? But he needs to stop slapping his leg. It's really frustrating because like I see him do these drop kicks and I see him do these amazing things and I hear it and I'm like, oh, that totally destroys the believability for me. And it takes me out of it, and I would appreciate not being taken out of it by something stupid that you could just not do, because that'd be great. Sorry, rant over, but just stop it. I did like the match. Apollo Crews won with a new, like, powerbomb thingy, another spinny thing. I don't know what it's called either.
I didn't see this match, unfortunately.
That's right, you didn't see that match.
I had to skip forward so that I could see the main event before we recorded.
Yeah. So, yeah, he has maybe a new finisher. It looked very underwhelming. I don't know. I've seen a lot of criticism of the gorilla press slam into the moonsault. I kind of like that. I mean, it's kind of dumb because the opponent has to roll over for it. Like, it'd almost be more effective if he just moonsaulted to their back. But I don't know. It was just kind of underwhelming. And then he just pinned Tyler, and I didn't expect that to be the end. And I yelled so loudly at the television, and William laughed at me because he was like, wow, you're pissed. And I was like, yeah, I'm really, really pissed about this. Because really, really pissed. And it was weird. They showed Hideo Itami and Funaki in the crowd right after this match. And commentary was like, yeah, they're here to watch Asuka or whatever. But they didn't show them in the crowd after Asuka's match. And I was reading John Canton's live review of NXT because he was there live. And he said that they weren't even in the chairs for Asuka's match. Like, it was just this one. And I have to wonder if Hideo Itami and Tyler Breeze might resume their fighting, and they're kind of made to fight each other, and I'd be totally okay with that. Even though I think Samoa Joe should be the one who beat up Hideo Itami, because seriously, that's my new plan for headcanon until they tell me that that's not the case at all, and that it was
Well,
probably
we
Finn
shall
Balor.
see.
We shall see. We saw Bayley getting ready backstage, and that was cool. And then we got Baron Corbin and Rhyno versus Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Did you watch this one? I forget.
Sort of. I basically had it playing on the laptop while we started talking, so I've seen bits of it, and I thought it was, from what I understood, it seemed to be pretty decent.
It was pretty good. I don't have as much to say about this one because it just, well, first of all, I was just annoyed that it was happening, but second of all, it was good, but it wasn't as good as the Mechanics versus Joe and Balor, and it wasn't as good as Jason Jordan and Chad Gable and Baron Corbin and Rhyno. But, I mean, it was good. It was very good. And it seemed urgent. And both teams seemed like they really wanted to win. Finn did sell the leg from earlier in the night as he walked out to the ring. That's another reason I actually connected to Finn throughout the whole night. And the reason that maybe I am glad that he could be in 2 matches, even though I really wish they didn't have to trounce the tag division, but whatever. But it was notable because they played his music and everything. He didn't do the arms thing when he was walking out. The crowd did. But he didn't, because he was focused and his leg hurt, and he was like, no, I have to win this match. I need to do whatever I have to do, and that's what I'm focused on. And I thought that was a really interesting and smart and good detail, that he wasn't doing his poses and stuff. That wasn't the time for that, because his entrance is him, right? Like, until now, it's basically Finn Balor's a really cool entrance in a leather jacket. He wasn't wearing the leather jacket this time either. He was wearing just his t-shirt. And it humanized him. And he needed to be humanized because Finn Balor has been the most overpowered wrestler in NXT for so long. Like, you coup de grace and you're just done, demon or no. And this made it not quite that way. And, I mean, again, winning with the coup de grace twice, he did kind of fall down and grab his leg and stuff. He was selling the leg throughout most of the entire match. Like, there were a couple spots that he kind of popped up and started running, but commentary attributed it to adrenaline, and that's legit. I don't know. I thought commentary was really spot on the whole night. Actually, I know you didn't hear it for this match, but just throughout the night, they were telling the stories of what was happening, and I thought that was great because they were really excited about everything, and it wasn't Corey Graves bickering with Rich Brennan, and it wasn't, Byron trying to be like, no, I'm really good, because he is, because he's one of my favorite commentators, and I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for that. But they told the story and they were excited, and I don't know, I really appreciated that too, because I feel like commentary on NXT has been a little lackluster lately. Maybe it's just kind of my general malaise about, the tournament and indie guys and just having this NXT identity crisis, but I thought they were spot on all night. I also thought it was really cool Eden Styles ring announced this. And Eden was the ring announcer in NXT for a very long time before they moved her up to SmackDown. And I thought it was really, really cool that Dusty's daughter-in-law came back to ring announce this match. And I thought it was really, really nice afterward that the entire Rhodes family was out there, including Kristen and Teal, and I can't remember Cody's mom's name, but they were all there, and it was a really nice moment. As far as the match, like I said, it was good. I guess I just don't have that much to say about it. They won again with a muscle buster coup de grace, and I was happy for Finn Balor, actually, because he looked like he really, really wanted it, and I know how important Dusty Rhodes was to Finn Balor. So as much as I've been kind of disillusioned with the tag tournament, and I don't really, I think it's really cool that they did something to honor Dusty. It never seemed to really fit that it was a tag tournament. It just kind of seemed like, okay, let's
Yeah, he
have a
wasn't
tag tournament.
exactly renowned for his tag
Right.
stuff, I don't think. But do you know what? Maybe this just makes me really, really horrible and mean, right? But I'm watching the celebration, and you got the trophy, you got Finn and Joe, Cody's there, Dustin's there, their respective partners, and I think that was Dusty's wife also was there. And I'm just watching this really, really nice scene, and I like to think Dusty, if he was around, might have thought this too. I was going, I really wish Joe would turn right now and attack Balor and Cody and Dustin and muscle bust them and have Eden and the wives there and have him get in their faces a little bit. to sort of intimidate them out of the ring. And I just thought, because he is going to turn, right? He has to turn on Finn at some point. And maybe
one of them's going to turn on the other one, and I hope it's Joe.
So, and I guess Joe, they might go down the route of, mutual respect, where Joe is that, he turns on him, but, they don't necessarily turn him heel. It's a shades of grey thing. But I was just looking at this whole situation and just like, oh man, you could have nuclear heat if you took out Finn, Cody, and Dustin, and then like smash up the trophy. People would, like, even the NXT crowd would turn on him at that point.
That would show up Kevin Owens ruining Sami Zayn's title celebration.
Yeah.
And like that.
And I was just watching it like, is that going to do it? Are they going to do it? I mean, obviously they didn't. They were going for something a bit more respectful. I mean, that might have been along the lines of, Paul Bearer's ashes being rubbed in the Undertaker's face, but then I liked that as well.
I know, I liked that too. I think it was cool that they had this moment. I mean, and with Finn Balor, I mean, it was basically a thing for him to kind of overcome the odds or whatever and win a thing for his mentor who taught him how to drive. Dusty's driving school. He taught Hideo Itami and Finn Balor how to drive and that kind of thing. And so I think it's really cool that they had that moment, but you're right, that nuclear heat could be so amazing too. So yeah, I don't know. Also, Finn didn't do the arms thing during the victory because he was hurt and he was, just focused. Joe did the arms thing and Finn didn't. He just kind of he punched at the air during the second cue or whatever, but it was kind of adorable. Like I said, I'm going to play the audio here of Cody's speech afterward because I thought it was really, really nice. And here goes.
Dusty Rhodes, hero who died 36 years ago on the exact same day as him. John Wayne, he had a saying, well, there's just some things a man can't run from. And we can't run from what happened to the dream, but we can remember, we can respect. A very, very wise individual once said that Dusty Rhodes, he referred to him as the oak of NXT. Well, I referred to him as Dad. And for over 4 decades, you allowed him to beam into your homes, his creations to take hold in your heart. You made him a part of your family. So let me make it official. Tonight, we are all Rhodes.
So yeah, I just wanted to play that for everybody because I think it's cool. I think now I really wish that Joe had turned because you put that in my head. But
I know, it just, because if he's going to do it, don't you want to do something in the moment that it means the most?
yeah.
And I guess, and to make him that vindictive, that he'd be like, I teamed with you and fought our way to win this final because right now is when I wanted to crush you.
Yeah.
Because
he's pure evil.
Oh, what a villain that would have been.
I know, right?
We'll see what they go with.
I have to wonder if maybe he is the one who beat up Hideo Itami. I would love that so much. I don't know if the timing's right, but Hideo could maybe be coming back soon. Maybe that's why he was in the audience, because it's been about that time frame. They said 6 to 8 months. And I don't know, everything that happens and everything that happens around the title scene and anyone that comes in, I'm still totally figuring Hideo Itami in the title scene, immediately. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be really sad because I love him so much. But after the celebration, we got the main event, and it was the true main event this time, and it felt like a main event, and it was beautiful. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Bayley versus Sasha Banks?
This is undoubtedly in my top 5 matches of the year. I'm going to stack. And probably maybe like, I think when it comes down to it, I'd have to pick either the Brooklyn one or this one because I'm kind of just like that with top lists. Like I maybe wouldn't include, like when it comes to Kevin Owens and John Cena, like ultimately I'll pick one of them. I wouldn't put all three of them on. So maybe I'll need to pick between the Brooklyn one, which is maybe a little bit more emotional. But
I like the Brooklyn one better.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I think sometimes people get too hung up on Iron Person matches and how good they are because sometimes you can't beat a concise 22-minute match. But the I just loved it. Everything about the presentation, the video package, the story they were telling was great. I love the dun 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 dun.
The gorilla music.
Yeah. I love that. They don't do that enough for these big match situations. I love the fact in the video package you saw them training for the match and similar to the Shawn and Brett thing. In fact, speaking of which, I love the moment in commentary where somebody said, what happens if it goes to a draw? And they're like, well, it goes to a draw, then it's a draw, and Bayley retains the title. And I think it's Corey Graves says, and he's indignant. He's like, are you kidding me? Do you think a draw was good enough for Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart? When they went to a draw, they went to sudden death. And you think these women are going to settle for a draw? And I was just like, yeah, no, they're not. If it happens, they're definitely not. Because these are tough ladies that are out there having an amazing match. I loved every part of it. My favourite fall was probably one of my favourite spots I've ever. So creative, never seen it done before. The bit where they do like the 3 teases of hitting the ref in the corner,
right.
and then Banks jumps up to totally cover his eye line and jabs Bayley in the eye, and then rolls her up for a pin, and she's like, oh no, and I was just like, that's what a bitch.
Yeah,
she's such a
she's
bitch.
so evil, right?
Yeah, she's so evil, and then obviously she takes Bayley outside, throws her against the
stairs,
the LED screen thing.
Oh yeah.
And then it all kind of goes all, and it breaks, and then she takes the count out, and she steals Izzy's headband, and then throws it at her, and Izzy's crying, and Banks is like, yeah, whatever, and the crowd are so hot for what she's doing. Some people are loving it, some people are booing her, and I'm like, what a heel. This woman is incredible. And what I like about her, and I'm not going to put down a certain someone, AJ Lee, but she is, like, Sasha Banks is not a cartoon villain, and it would be so easy to take her character because she's effectively female Kanye. That's what she sort of what she does.
Well, female Snoop Dogg.
or female Snoop Dogg, I guess.
Because that's where it came from. Like it's
the relation is there. I was just thinking of those plastic glasses, but it'd be so easy to make that a cartoon. Like she was so easy to be cartoonish, but what did we see when she was walking to Gorilla for the match? She looked nervous.
Yeah.
She looked nervous. And there were points in the match where she was doing things that were evil, but you could see in her face she was like, don't know, like should I be okay, I'll do these things. She's not a mustache twirling, no offense to the vaudevillains, but she's not a mustache twirling villain. And even like in her defeat, I know some people are like, should you really have seen her, you're getting upset and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, because she's a person. She's a bad guy, if you like, but it's not like she's not a caricature, she's not a cartoon. She is a fully formed, fully fleshed character with all different psychological facets. She's interesting. She's everything that as an example, I use her as an example all the time because I just thought she wasn't interesting at all, and I'm sorry for the fans of her, but AJ Lee for me was never interesting. She was never psychologically real. I didn't like the crazy chick thing was such a caricature, a cartoon. It was boring. You can't tell any stories with that. Name what was a memorable AJ Lee story? Don't know. How many has Sasha Banks had? Loads. And she's only just on the main roster.
Sasha Banks didn't have to pretend to marry Daniel Bryan and
all that good stuff. Yeah. And hey, who knows? Maybe Sasha will be involved in a wrestling wedding one day because wrestling weddings can be good sometimes.
I freaking love wrestling weddings.
but she's a great character. And speaking of which, so is Bayley. To just say what reiterate what Kenny said, she is the biggest. Do not fuck this up for me. Because I think Sasha will be fine. Because she kind of can thrive, and even I think even if she isn't booked well, I think her character can still thrive. But Bayley really needs to be handled because they have I think they've got for the first time ever a female equivalent of a top male superstar. And I mean that in like the most respectful way possible, because I just think that the problem a lot of times with women wrestling stars over the years is that very, very few of them ever get presented as athletes, and very, very few of them ever get to be completely divorced from being too sexualized.
And they
You know,
don't
like,
get to be like humans who can actually be a role model for people.
yeah, like, people will say, Trish Stratus and Lita, and I'm like, yes, they were both very good performers. They were the top stars of their generation. They main evented a Raw and all that kind of stuff. But Trish Stratus was still kind of presented as sexy. Lita still had her thong, as part of the gimmick. So you can see the
Right.
thong at the back of her trousers and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. That's what they wanted to do. I'm not saying like they were demeaning women or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, but with Bayley, you have a character that I don't think we've ever seen in women's wrestling before. She's a babyface who is, like people, when people are talking about films, they talk about that test about, I can't remember what the test is called, but it's like, how many times do you have have women characters that have conversations with each other that are not about men? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I have.
And people were talking about like Mad Max Fury Road, and they were like, there's this scene in the middle of it where there are 9 women on screen all talking about something, and they're not talking about men. They're not talking about their relation to male characters. They are driving the plot on their own. That's just what I see Bayley as. Bayley never needs to be someone's valet. They don't ever need to pair her up with another guy. She is a strong, I can't believe I'm going to say it, she is a strong, independent woman. She's a female character that is a role model to young girls. I still think that, if anything, the legacy of Bayley is going to be, I don't know any young women who are maybe, brought into wrestling because of a female character. Because I tend to find all of the...
Until Bayley.
Maybe, yeah, until Bayley. Yeah, because she's there. Like 5, 6, 7-year-old little girls can look at her and be like, she's cool. I like her. I want to be like her. And I'm not saying that women haven't idolized, the appearance of other female wrestlers, like, oh, she's a beautiful woman, she looks fantastic and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like an absolute, like, moral centered, great female role model, she's the first of her kind. She's so special for that reason. And I really, really hope that I don't think everything someone does in NXT automatically has to be transferred to the main roster. But I really hope they don't bungle her character and bring her up and she's like Adam Rose or whatever because she's got wacky inflatable.
They just treat her like a child again.
Yeah, like she's a kid.
Because she's come so far beyond that. And that's the thing about Bayley. As you're talking, I realized Bayley is the type of woman that Sasha Banks and Bayley wanted to look up to in wrestling and couldn't.
Yeah.
When they were young. I don't know if you watched the WWE 24 thing about NXT. But
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Yeah, like Bayley reads an essay that she wrote when she was in mid school about wanting to be a wrestler. And she talks about wanting to be a wrestler. Like she doesn't want, and Sasha Banks wrote an essay, I think in high school too, about wanting to be a wrestler. And Sasha Banks was saying back in high school, and I think like however long ago that was, I think she's 23, but she was saying that she wanted to be a wrestler, but not like the women she saw on TV. She wanted to be a wrestler like Eddie Guerrero. And that's really crazy to think about her saying that way before women's wrestling was ever going to be a thing. I mean, like, this was bra and panty match time. This was, like, super sexy time, right? For the ladies. And, like, the fact that she wanted to do exactly what she's doing, and so did Bayley, and they're getting to do it, and I think that's so huge. And you're right, Bayley is special. And obviously I'm going to say that because I've been, freaking out about Bayley for years now. But seeing Bayley's progression, I talk about that all the time, how she came from being a hugging super fan. And they mentioned on commentary, she's not a hugging super fan anymore. She's made it and she's the champion. Byron had a really cool quote and I want to find it because it was just really, really perfect. What he said was, Byron was describing Bayley and he said, I'm not just a hugging super fan anymore. I am a girl living my dream as the women's champion, is I think what Bayley had said to Byron backstage or whatever. And it's true. And that kind of sums it up. And, Corey Graves came back with people overlook the fact that Sasha Banks had the same dream. And it's interesting talking about their characters because I've talked so much about Bayley's character and progression, and I will talk about Bayley's character and progression forever, and it will always make me happy because she is so special. She's an inspiration to me, and she's an inspiration in me loving wrestling so much because I don't know, she proves what can be so great because she is a babyface who is good. Bayley and Sami Zayn, like.
And I'm also just to throw some praise Sasha's way. I'm not saying that in any way like Sasha even falls back on old stereotyped women characters. Okay,
No.
so compared to Bayley, yeah, like Sasha is sort of more of the, that she's the kind of badass, and she's got the glasses and stuff, and she is sort of more quote unquote sexy than Bayley. She kind of sexes up her image more than Bayley does, but Sasha, like, that's not the first thing I think of when I come to Sasha.
No,
like,
she does it to be glam. She does it to be the boss. She doesn't do it because she's trying to show off to men.
Yeah, I don't think of her as that's the thing. She is not, again, she's not like I look like this because I want to bag myself a man or anything like that. She's doing it because she, like you say, she wants to be glamorous. She is the boss. She's like, I am.
She's
the
doing it
star
for her.
here. Yeah, and she's tough. That's the first thing. Like, if someone said, how would you describe Sasha Banks? I'd be like, she's tough. That's the first thing I think of when I think of Sasha Banks. And she's uncompromising, and she knows what she wants. And also, what I really like about it, and I don't think it's a failing or anything, but I see the difference between Sasha Banks and the boss. Like, she wears it. It's not a character. It's like she puts this stuff on because that's what she needs to go out there and to turn it on. And when you see her upset or you see her nervous, like, that's Sasha Banks as well as the boss. The kind of persona that she wears. It's her demon. It's her Balor demon.
Yeah, and it's actually perfect you just said that, because what I was going to say about Sasha, like, as much as I talk about Bayley's progression, I don't think Sasha's progression is talked about nearly enough. And it was really cool, actually. They mentioned on commentary that Bayley was wearing Ironman colors, and she had a robot on her top, and it was adorable. But Sasha was wearing the same color scheme she wore when she broke into wrestling. And at first I was complaining about the red versus fuchsia because I just hate those colors together. But when they said that, I was like, that's so cool. And the thing about Sasha Banks is that she's had just as much of a character progression as Bayley in a lot of ways. Sasha Banks came in and she was boring and she could go. She's a good wrestler, but she didn't really do much and she was kind of losing and stuff. I mean, she was basically where Peyton Royce and Billie Kay are now. And Summer Rae came up to Sasha behind, in the back or whatever, and they looked in that oculus of a women's dressing room mirror, and Summer got in her head, and Sasha was so insecure and everything that when she lost to Paige after Summer got in her head, that's when she snapped. She snapped because she was losing and because it made sense and because she was feeling insecure and like she had to prove herself. And Sasha took the path of being mean. And Sasha took the path of joining Summer Rae and then recruiting Charlotte and basically having a bunch of mean girl stables is what Sasha's done. But do you think of her as just another catty bitch who, has to be the mean girl or whatever?
No.
Not in the same way that you would look at.
And my favorite thing about Team Bad is that I don't think the crowds think that either. Like, she is with them, but she sticks out.
They chant, "We want Sasha."
Yeah, they want her. Yeah. And when Team Bad come out, they cheer for Sasha, and that really kind of gives me a hope. I'm kind of like good. Like, I'm glad. Although she's with those two lumps.
Yeah.
They still see the diamond in the rough there. So
they do, and I think like Sasha proving herself. It's so cool to compare these characters because everyone kind of thought that like Charlotte and Sasha was the best thing, right? And Sasha and Becky was better than Sasha and Charlotte. The story wasn't quite as much there because Charlotte and Sasha had a lot more history in the BFFs and everything. But Sasha and Bayley are the two perfect opponents for each other, not just in terms of wrestling, which they are the perfect opponents in terms of their wrestling skill, but they're the perfect opponents in terms of character. I mean, they've been intertwined through NXT because Sasha's been the constant through the BFFs, through Team Bay, through everything. It's always been Sasha going after Bayley, and it's really, they came in the same. Like, that's been the story. They both wanted to be wrestlers. They were little girls who loved wrestling and wrote essays about wrestling when they were children. And they took divergent paths. And Sasha had to put on this bravado and she had to become the boss and she had to put this on to kind of make herself confident enough to start winning matches and to be on top and to eventually become the champion. And she did it by being super mean and vicious. And Bayley took a very different path. Bayley was beat down a whole lot, and Bayley talks about how much it disappointed her to disappoint her mom, who was coming to these title matches, and she kept losing, and she worked at it so hard, and when she finally arrived and held up that belt, it was the most beautiful thing for me. It was more beautiful than Sami Zayn holding up the belt, and seriously, like, I cried about that too, but not like I bawled when Bayley won. And seeing the two of them who have been so intertwined in their stories, and knowing that this was Sasha's swan song, like, Sasha was supposed to be done after Brooklyn. It was too good, and they needed to give Full Sail this match too, and Full Sail deserved this match for everything they've done for those girls.
I know some people will roll their eyes at this, but I think that, with the right amount of time and coming back to meet each other again, like, Bayley and Sasha remind me of Steamboat and Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like two absolute great performers, each other's equals in so many ways, but they just went down, Steamboat was the family man.
Right.
Ric Flair was the womanizer. Steamboat came to the ring with his wife and kids. Ric Flair came to the ring with the local hussies.
Yeah.
And it's like these two kind of divergent personalities, but once they got in the ring, what meant most of them was being the best. And I put a tweet out a couple of hours ago, and I think some people like replied to me and stuff because they thought that I was slagging off Raw, and that's not what it was. And I just said, I don't have it in front of me, but it was along the lines of, NXT. It's about two performers who want to battle to be the absolute best athletes. That's the story.
Yeah.
And Raw is about a guy putting in a complaint because his HR manager is also a demon. And although maybe that does sound like I'm having a dig at Raw, okay, what I really meant by that was I'm just glad there's still somewhere in wrestling where these kind of stories can be told, because these are the kind of stories that generate emotions. Like, that's why, like, Rocky is such a lasting story, or the Karate Kid, or that kind of stuff. These sort of to be the best type stories. I mean, yeah,
Right.
sure, there's definitely room for goofy stuff and all that kind of gear. So I'm just glad that although that's what's kind of dominating on the main show at the minute, the NXT is there and it can still tell these kind of stories. And I hope at some point we might get something similar back in the main roster as well. They might do a story with somebody that kind of resonates in the way that this does, because, like, I just outside of stuff involving Brock Lesnar, for me this year, like, nothing has given me the sort of feeling in my stomach or given me the kind of the excitement about wrestling in the way that the stuff NXT has across the year, regardless of who or what it is. I just really dig the way they present stuff, and I get why people try to position it against Raw all the time, and I'm gonna try and stop doing that. I'm gonna try to stop being that guy.
It's just such a different product.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop being like, I wish it was like this all the time, because you don't, you don't really want NXT on for 3 hours on a Monday night. You think you do, but you don't.
No.
And so I'm just gonna kind of be glad that NXT exists, because there's certain types of films I like and certain types of films I don't like, and I can just be happy the ones that I do like exist instead of constantly having to put them up against the stuff I don't like. So
Triple H said in the conference call, like, NXT is punk rock. NXT is more of a niche. It's, and it's becoming a lot more notable. It's getting a lot more attention, but it is still, as much as it's my world, it's not everyone's world. The casual Raw audience doesn't watch NXT, but I'm fine having it.
I'm going to NXT Glasgow, and I'm hopefully going to be going to the London one if I can score a ticket for it. But I am so excited, and I've been to house shows in the UK the last couple of years. I've been to other wrestling events that are ran in Scotland as well, and I've enjoyed them all to different degrees and things that have happened. But I can't remember, probably like WrestleMania 30. With Brian, and the thing is, nothing's even announced for Glasgow, and it's not even the Takeover special, which is why I really want to go to London. But I am just so excited about seeing this company, I guess.
There's
if you want to call
such
it that.
a cool feeling seeing NXT live. Like,
yeah.
It's so cool because everyone is super invested. Like, I mean, granted, I was in a smaller crowd than you're going to be in because it's getting bigger, and it was the first show, but it was just like everybody standing in line for it was an NXT fan. You don't get that at Raw, like, you get casual wrestling fans, you get people who kind of tune in maybe, but they want to go with their kids or whatever. Everybody super passionate in that building, and it's great. It's amazing. And I don't know. And just like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was so good. But yeah, Bayley ended up winning the match with seconds to go. She won it 3-2. And Sasha did get the first pin, so they told the story in the match, too, of Sasha being on top and Bayley having to come up and overcome that. And I think this match was a good kind of mirror to their entire feud, in the same way that Antonio Cesaro and Sami Zayn 2 out of 3 falls match was a very good mirror of their feud leading up to that point, right? Like, Sami gets the first fall, Antonio Cesaro gets the second one, and Antonio Cesaro wins. That's exactly how the progression of matches went. Here, Sasha Banks cheats and is mean and is awful and gets the first pin, and Bayley has to come back and get another one. And Sasha, throws Bayley into the steps and is mean and evil and wretched and terrible, 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 terrible. And Bayley has to come back. And Bayley ends up, like, working Sasha's hand, just like Bayley had her hand, practically broken or whatever in their Brooklyn match, which I still prefer in terms of a story, but this was also so, so good. Bayley was super aggressive here, and they kept saying we've never seen this Bayley before, but we totally have. Like, when she snapped at the contract signing before Brooklyn, Bayley had arrived. She has been aggressive, but she doesn't do it in a vicious way. She does it because she's standing up for herself finally, and because she deserves to be as good as Sasha. She belongs, and right now she's better because she's the champion, and it looks so good on her.
I'm just so gutted Sasha's not going to be on the NXT tour.
Oh, she is.
Or well, I don't know. I don't think so. I just assumed that because
Adrian Neville is.
Is he?
Yeah. You'll get to see him.
Maybe they will bring Sasha. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But
that'd be pretty cool.
I'm excited.
Yes. Well, I think we should probably wrap up a little bit, even though I could talk about this for like forever. But I liked Bayley having to break out a submission at the end too. And it reminded me of Paige having to kind of up her game because she'd faced Emma so much, right? And she had to break out a new submission. Like, this was Bayley having to up her game because they fought so many times and nothing was working. Bayley to belly, it wasn't working. So she had to, like, rip Sasha's arms off, essentially, where Sasha couldn't even tap properly. She had to just kick her legs and be like, I'm tapping out, seriously.
Also, the credit to the way these two perform as well, because some people, I think they struggle to verbalize exactly what it is, but sometimes some female performers carry very little weight in the ring, and it makes things look less impactful and a bit flimsy.
Right.
For example, see Eva Marie and Brie Bella.
Yes.
They just sort of, they hit the ropes and they barely quiver and stuff like that. And so if you don't understand why sometimes, like, I'll trash Eva Marie because you like her for whatever reason from Total Divas or whatever, like, just watch how Bayley delivers the uppercuts, like the Fury elbows in the corner. Like, she throws herself. There's just like there's an aggression.
Oh, there's an intensity, and they fight like it's a fight. Like when Sasha has Bayley in the boss face, the bank statement. When she has her in that, and Bayley's trying to get to the ropes, what does Sasha do? She doesn't just sit there and wait for the next move, right? She kicks Bayley's hand. She rolls over and she gets back in the middle of the ring.
Yeah,
when Bayley's in the submission, she's trying to hit at Sasha too. Like, if you're in a hold and you have a limb free to kick somebody, why wouldn't you?
I loved it when they were getting to the last 5 seconds, Bayley had her in the submission move and she just starts booting her head.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you would, because she's just like, just give up. Like, it's such a great story.
That's
so
how
much.
It should
work. It's pathetic, but I had tears in my eyes when everybody came out at the end and, like, Triple H was presenting them with the bouquets and stuff as part of, like, I guess that's part of, like, the Ironman presentation, like you guys did it.
Yeah. And plus, it was a big congratulations to them for making it. I mean, WWE likes to say that things are historic all the time, right? Everything's historic. Everything's the biggest match ever. But this actually is historic.
Yeah.
It really is. It's the first female main event of a pay-per-view. It's an Ironman match which we haven't seen in quite a while. And it features 2 women. It's the first women's Ironman match in WWE history. Not just NXT history, WWE history. And these 2 performers are very special, and they're very special together. And also, it was a send-off for Sasha. And the fact that Sasha, after the match, dropped to her knees. She couldn't stand up when she was getting the flowers presented to her. And Stephanie and Sarah Del Rey had to, like, kneel down and be like, it's okay. And, like, basically, try and get her to stand back up. And the locker room chanted, thank you, Sasha. And thank you, Sasha. Basically, thank you for everything you've done here. And I think she will be fine. I think she's too good to be overshadowed. I really do. Because as much as I love Emma and whatnot, like Sasha's on another level and Bayley's on levels above that. And I don't know. Again, I'm just like, I'm so excited talking about this, but I do want
So
to
who do you think's next for Bayley?
Dana.
Dana?
Yeah.
Dana Boobs?
Dana Boobs.
Okay.
I'm fairly
Is that
sure.
like you know that, or you're sure?
That's from everything I've read. That's what's happening, and that's what makes sense. Dana's been talking about the title a lot, and Asuka faced off with Emma, not Dana. So we're getting Asuka and Emma, I'm guessing, and then Dana and Bayley.
Right.
As Bayley's first, defense where she wins, and not Eva Marie. It's not Eva Marie at all. They gave up on that, thank goodness. But I do want to read out some listener comments. I don't have time to read them all, probably, but I will do what I can. Because I put out a thing on Facebook saying, after a long absence, we're going to be back, and what do you think about the show? And I didn't really expect people to write as much as they did. But thank you, everybody, for your feedback. And it's kind of fun that this is actually going to be on YouTube, so everybody can actually hear it. And that's, I don't know, it's fun. Stephen Ollie just wrote, fantastic event from top to bottom. I agree. Phil Drury says, the pairing of two singles wrestlers winning the DRTTC, which I have never abbreviated it, so that just looked weird to me, annoys me slightly. The tag team division is strong at the moment and would have preferred some of the more established teams to get through rather than individual stars put together for no real reason. I agree. But most shocking turn of events, Baron Corbin having a decent match and Dana Brooks, it's Dana Brooke, but that's okay, shouting, I know the rules before putting on an illegal choke move. That was really great character work on Dana's part, actually. I did love that in the middle of the match where she's like yelling at the ref, I know the rules, and still she's not following them because she's a heel and she's evil. Kyle Burdick says, it's amazing when wrestling is done right. I was surprised who made it to the finals in the Tag Team Classic, but the outcome made sense. Bigger things on the horizon for the Mechanics and Shoot Nation. The last two TakeOver women's matches were unbelievable, and this one didn't disappoint. Another outstanding match with storytelling through the roof. So I don't know. We've gushed and waxed on and on about this because it was a really great show. As much as I wasn't looking forward to it, it turned out to be a really great show. I think it's how most people saw WrestleMania 31. Yeah, I'm glad that I got that feeling once. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. I am excited that, this is going out to the world. I'm still not used to that. I'm not used to being out of my VIP corner a little bit. But it's kind of fun. Thank you for joining me. And any closing thoughts, comments, anything like that?
No, I just hopefully people will stick with listening to the NXT rundown. If you haven't listened to it previously because you haven't had access to it, then hopefully this will be a new thing for you to add to your weekly podcast diet. It is good for you, and I recommend it at least once a week.
Yay!
It keeps you feeling young, and yeah, I'm looking forward to heading towards London NXT special and where they're going to go next with it, because this is just, I know it's so repeated, it's almost becoming a cliche, but and I get it, some people prefer different things from wrestling, but for me, from what I like to get out of wrestling, the NXT specials this year have been the best things. Like they've been my favourite things to watch. There has been some stuff on the main roster I've loved, like the triple threat with Brock, Rollins and Cena at the Royal Rumble. I love that. Bryan and Roman at Fastlane. Is that what it was called?
I can't remember what show that was.
I think it was. Yeah. Main event of WrestleMania 31 with Brock and Roman. I really liked stuff with I really liked the stuff with Brock and Undertaker on the night of SummerSlam, but now that it's not happening at WrestleMania and it's probably not going to retire him, I'm not too sure how I'm feeling about it, but we'll see when that happens. But, just in terms of consistent, interesting stuff and just getting to the end of a show, and I remember, I used to stay up really late when I was 15, 16, 17 to watch WWE live, and I could never ever go to sleep at 4 a.m. when those shows finished. When WrestleMania 14 finished, or when SummerSlam 2000 finished, or anything like that. I was always like, oh my god, all this amazing stuff happened. I want to watch it all over again. And the WWE pay-per-views now don't do that for me. They're a bit of an endurance. By the time I get to 4, I am more than ready for my bed, even if something really good has happened. It's very rarely at the end of the show, so
right.
I'm kind of over it. So it's not that it's bad. I'm not trashing it or anything. It's just a different type of show now. But NXT is the kind of thing that these takeover specials, when these finish, I feel like, oh, that was so good. I loved it. It took me on this crazy emotional journey, and it makes you feel things. yeah, it makes me feel things. That's all I want. That's all I want from wrestling. I want to feel something other than, oh, I'm a bit tired.
Yeah.
And it's tough. So yeah, that's what I love so much about them, and that's why I'm glad that they do it, and I'm glad there's a space for it. And yeah, you know, I can deal with it. You know, I can deal with Raw being rubbish when when Takeover is a thing. So hooray for NXT again. I know we always say it, but
hooray.
it's not true.
I mean, it's kind of cool. Like my friend William, who was on the show last week, he's been on the show before on VIP. I'm actually going to see him wrestle today. And like he'd kind of gotten out of watching a lot of wrestling just because, you know, Raw. And he started watching NXT with me. He fell in love with Bayley, basically. And now he's all into it and excited about it and getting more excited about wrestling himself and watching wrestling. And NXT does that for people. I mean, people that I've introduced to NXT, they keep watching it generally, except David J. McCutcheon, but that's just because, you know, he doesn't want to have his dreams killed, or he doesn't want to have dreams or something, I forget. But yeah, I don't know.
You see, I think David's the kind of guy that wouldn't get a puppy because he'd be like, well, it's gonna die.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right.
He's like, it's this young, fresh, amazing thing, but it might get rubbish one day, so I'm not going to invest in it.
Right. Exactly. And we love you for it, David. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for everyone who contributed on the Facebook. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting that much response because I just posted it like a couple of hours before we started recording. But I don't know, it's been fun. I enjoyed Takeover a lot more than I thought I would. And I'm looking forward to seeing where things go from here now that we don't have the shackles of the tag team tournament weighing over our heads. So I will talk to you next week. Oh, plugs. You can get me on Twitter at SondraRuthRW, and I always say yours weird because I think of it in a Scottish accent but can't do a Scottish accent. So what's your Twitter?
How do you say it? I'm curious.
Like Bear TITR. Bear
Yeah.
TITR. Like that's how I hear it because I never think Bertie.
Bertie. Yeah,
Bertie, right? Like
that's how we say it here. Yeah. I just for people that wonder, I actually do have a number of friends that call me that. But it started, well, most of them are English, so it sounds better in their accent. But then like two of my Scottish friends also call me that too. So it is not just a weird thing that I made up. So yeah, at Bertie_ITR, BERTIE, not YIE. And yeah, Bertie_ITR. You can get me there where I tweet about wrestling mostly and also other things that I like. And it's fun.
it is fun.
And
if for some reason you're not on our Facebook, which it seems like you probably are if you found this YouTube thing, because that's probably where I'm going to post that I posted the thing.
Yeah.
I don't post about posts, but
things that we never say, obviously, on the YouTube channel, you know, use the comments.
Yeah.
Because that's good feed. We can use it as feedback on the show. And
yeah, whenever I say, let us know what you think of the show, you can do that right in the comments below.
Right in the comments below. And you can also share the video, embed it, favorite the channel, or follow the channel on YouTube. I'm a wee bit unfamiliar with YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I really like having something on me, or you got a phone that doesn't let you play YouTube videos when you close the screen or whatever, then you can use one of those MP3 converters or something. And
I might just put a link to convert MP3 in the description actually.
Yeah, you can do that bit yourself, but do let it play through once, even if you're not listening, just so we've got that all important.
Yeah, please. I want to
really
have
helps.
views.
Yeah, it's views, and when we have views, we can generate more ad revenue. And
it helps the algorithm. That's what other podcasters say.
Yeah, it helps the algorithm, and we can
just like listening to Inside the Ropes on iTunes and leaving reviews and 5-star ratings there.
Exactly. It helps us grow the brand, as they say. And,
the hashtag brand.
The brand, and you also get we get some advertising money kicked back from YouTube, which really helps with paying the bills, paying those gimmicks.
They send in the mail called bills.
Yeah.
It's true. So yes, thank you everybody, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.